Well, any day now, the government is finally going to come out with the final regulations that I think will be the biggest thing to small businesses, that has hit this country since, I don't know, the Great Depression. But this is a good thing because more and more businesses will be able to get money. See, right now, I mean, if you don't have your own funds or can't get a loan or everything, and you're looking for investors, you probably have to go to lawyers that are going to charge so much because the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, requires all these laws if you're going to sell stock in your company. So that's why it costs $500,000 to go out and get $1 million or something, because you're giving it all to lawyers. Well, now they're going to make that easier. And the new law, the Jobs Act, which was passed a little while ago, about a year or two now, is finally, the final rules are coming out to make it easy. You could go on the internet and get investors in your company all over the world. And this makes sense too, where it's going to be a boom not only for small business to go out and get millions of people given $1 a piece or whatever to make their dream happen, but also investors to get inside information on the next, like Facebook or something. You can see all those big so-called IPOs that go out, a stock market that hit the stock market and making people millions and millions. That's all inside stuff. You have to know the right country club to belong to and the guy at the brokerage house and things like that. Well, now it's going to be all open on the internet, because of this Jobs Act. And the next guy we're going to interview here is an expert in this. He's an ex-Wall Street lawyer, and he had a PBS show called Money Hunt, people hunting for money, and he's a syndicated columnist on business and writes a column for Entrepreneur magazine. So he has a book coming out on this new equity crowdfunding. See, there's different kinds of crowdfunding. If you hear Kickstarter and things like that, that's not to start a business. That's to buy, for your business, the future product. They're not partners. But this is going to be actual partners. So it's a way to do that with very little money. That's okay. And here's some neat data about entrepreneurs I found in Forbes magazine. Every year almost 7 million new businesses start. 7 million. That's over 560,000 every month. So over 500,000 businesses every month they're starting. And most of those, the average that those people raise is about $78,000. And look where they get that money from now. They get of that $78,000, about $27,000, so about a third, comes from the people's personal savings. Then very little comes from spouses and parents, and other people say they're, they'll be a partner or something like that. Now, from other investors and from venture capitalists and those kind of sharks, or even from government, only about 7,000. So that's less than 10% coming from there. Personal debt, now that's about 5%. Family loans, about 10%. And then personal bank loans and credit cards and stuff like that. Gosh, almost half of it comes from there. So now all that will go away a little more, and with this news source. So watch this interview, start learning about it. His book is coming out. He wrote the book. He's just waiting for the laws to be finalized so he can make, whatever changes they make to the laws, and include them in a book, and it'll be out. So watch this interview and learn about the biggest pot of money that's coming out for entrepreneurs. It's coming soon. Well, Cliff Ennico, man, you're an author, a lawyer, a syndicated columnist, you got books out, you're helping us get through the legal waters of entrepreneurism and all this kind of stuff. But more importantly, you got a book out now that's going to help us, get through crowdfunding to start a business, because the laws of change is going to burst on the scene, and everybody and his brother's going to be into this, and all the new rules, don't you? What's going to happen and all this kind of stuff.
My wife says that I'm a legend in my own mind, Matt. That's it. Yeah, this is what I do. Well, you have to understand, you're talking to a guy who writes law books for a hobby, so that tells you a little bit about me and my social life and everything like that. But this is a major development, Matt.
Yeah.
The laws are changing now in a very big way. Really, for the first time in almost 100 years now, it's going to be possible for startup and early stage companies, entrepreneurs, to promote their companies and raise capital publicly using, general advertising methods, crowdfunding, and all that. The Jobs Act, which Congress passed in 2012, authorized, really opened the floodgates now to a lot of new fundraising things. You now can legally raise capital on the internet for the very first time, and that's a very exciting development.
But also more than that, it seems like, if you're a private you wanted to, go public or whatever, you have to get these lawyers and pay hundreds of thousands of dollars or whatever to follow all these rules.
Right.
Now that's gone. I mean, you can go for almost nothing.
It's not totally gone.
Right.
By
but
any stretch
it's a
of the imagination. We're going to talk about this. Of course, whenever the government gives you something with one hand, Matt, they always take it away with the other. So we're going to talk a little bit about the rules, but it's a lot easier than it used to be.
Right.
One of the biggest law changes, Matt, it used to be that you could, if you were a privately owned company, unless you did an IPO, you could not offer your stock to people that you didn't know. Everything had to be prearranged, in a very specific. It was a very specific dance that you had to do.
IPO is one of those things like Facebook does, and all this. You had to be in the in crowd to do, right?
That's right, exactly. Yeah. Now, I'll give you an example. When eBay went public in 1996, I think it was, the founder Pierre Omidyar wanted to issue a special class of stock to his sellers, to the people that were selling stuff online, and the rules at that time prohibited him from doing that. He couldn't do it. He had to go through the big investment banks on Wall Street and all of that.
You had to belong to a country club
that
to
he
do
had
that.
to do. And so as a result, a lot of his people got left out of the offering. And these are the people that these were his fans. These are the people that he wanted to reward for their loyalty to the company. Now, under the new rules, a guy like Pierre Omidyar would be able to do something like that.
But more importantly, the average small business with not, sitting on millions of dollars or hundred thousands of dollars now could get into that. And particularly more so when the rules are about to become easier in a few months, hopefully, or whenever that happens. And that's when
exactly
the
right.
important stuff
That's the
is
exciting thing. Companies can now reward their friends and family and their customers and their suppliers and their fan base in a way that they couldn't before. And that's what's really exciting about this whole development.
And so it will be now. The SEC is working on the final rules. So people you could get a couple $100 or a couple $1,000 from almost anybody now.
Yeah, that's the thing.
To be an owner. Yeah.
And let's talk about that a little bit. There's two pieces to this, Matt. And then let's talk about this. The first piece is what we call Title II. This is Title II of the Jobs Act, and this is in existence now. We're not waiting for anybody. You can do this now. If you're looking to raise money for a startup or early stage company now, you can solicit funds using what they call general solicitation, methods of general advertising.
Now, this is not crowdfunding like Kickstarter. This is crowdfunding for investors.
Right. This is crowdfunding for investors. That's right. And as long as you admit only what they call accredited investors, people who have a lot of money, fat cats, people with deep pockets, people who are like Wall Street insiders, people that know what they're doing. See, the whole purpose of this, you have to understand, Matt, the securities laws are really just consumer protection laws. That's all they are. Their job is to prevent average people from losing all their money from fraudulent tricksters.
Some late guys on late night TV.
Late night information. Guys like this. The SEC is there to protect them because there's a lot of fraudulent promoters out there with all kinds of crazy ideas and stuff, and the securities laws are there to protect them, the investor. That's what they're there for. So the idea is the accredited investor doesn't need that kind of protection. This is somebody who knows what they're doing. They're a sophisticated investor, and the laws don't need those protections. So that's the whole idea. As long as you only admit those people into your inner circle,
so for the average person,
you are legal now.
But for the average person, that's good now, because I could be a small business and now find those people easier than before.
That is correct. There are angel networks online,
so
Hands of Angels and stuff like that. Angel.co is one of the big ones, Angel.co.
And then,
so now you can do that. You can go to these people and say, hey, I got a cool new startup company, run it by the network, and as long as you only admit, you got to be careful, you have to make sure that these people are indeed accredited. You can't just assume, just because somebody comes in and says, hi, I'm a millionaire, you can't just trust that. You got to get, you have to get like a questionnaire from them. You got to to do some research, look at their tax returns, but that
well,
you would do
but
with
you
investors
actually,
anyway.
the website handles a lot of that when you find the websites to do it on. So
these
now
angel
that's
investors,
what's
right,
now.
exactly.
But now what's going to be soon is I could be a little investor and get in on the next, Facebook or whatever.
Let's talk about this. Is the second piece. This is what they call Title III. I'm just using these names because it makes it easier to describe. Title III is the section of the Jobs Act that says you can use a crowdfunding portal. That's like a specialized website to raise money from your Facebook fans, your family, your Twitter followers. You can now leverage social media to raise money, and you don't have to worry about whether or not they're accredited investors.
But they become owners. They're not like, see, my problem is a lot of people will think of crowdfunding now, oh, I'm putting money into businesses, but that's different.
No, and that's not true. Let's talk about that. I have seen Kickstarter campaigns for, business type things. You have to understand, Matt, you are not investing in that company. You're not getting stock. You're not getting bonds because legally right now there's still some.
They can't.
These rules have to be developed.
So what will happen in the future is that you'll be able to be. What will happen in the future? You'll be able to be an equity holder, own stock in a company.
That's what's changing. See, right now, if you're in doing a crowdfunding investing on one of these things, you're really making a gift to the company. You're making a donation to them, and maybe they'll give you a little tchotchke, or they'll give you one of their products or something like that, which is fine and dandy. But also keep in mind, whenever you make a donation to a for-profit company, you cannot take a deduction for that.
I see.
Even though you intend it as a charitable gift, the company has a social mission or whatever, you cannot deduct that as on your taxes unless it is a qualified 501c3 nonprofit. You cannot do that, and a lot of people don't recognize that. They think, oh, this is an investment, I'm going to get stock, and that's not what's happening. The new SEC rules will allow that.
Happen.
Will allow
and
that.
So and that's really set up now for the little investor to get into hot deals that they had to join a country club to do before.
Bingo. That's exactly right. So those eBay sellers could have, under the new rules, participated in eBay's public offering back in the 90s. That's the beauty of this whole arrangement.
And
now,
you're the guy who's going to keep us informed when exactly this happens and what the rules and regulations I should know, because you got the book, Crowdfunding Handbook.
Let's talk about that. What I have done here, Matt, is I've written the first book that I'm aware of. It tells you exactly, step by step, how to do a crowdfunded offering under the new rules. I mean, there's books out there that'll tell you what the law is, but who reads law books? Other lawyers. That's about it. People like me. I wrote a book that tells you step by step, are you right for crowdfunding? Is yours the right kind of company? Do you have a big enough fan base to do this? Because it's going to be costly. It's not going to be easy. You can't just, throw up a website and say, here's my company, I'm selling 20% for those much. You're going to have to go through a very specific process. You're going to have to register with a funding portal, which is a specialized website that is heavily regulated by the SEC, where you can put up all your documents and people can look and investors can look at them. It's a very, very, what they're doing basically here, Matt, is they're saying, we'll let you guys do whatever you want, but it has to be through one of these portals, and we're going to regulate the hell out of these portals.
But
that's how we're going to protect investors.
It's all going to be open to everybody too, so that would be nice.
Exactly.
Everybody will be able to see this stuff,
Right.
So
the only limit is that you cannot, at least under the current rules, you cannot invest more than $2,000 a year in crowd-funded offerings.
Right. But we don't know exactly yet until they.
This is all subject to being. Although that I think will stay. The $2,000 limit I think is going to stay.
Good.
Yeah, the biggest.
Well, wonderful, Cliff. I'll run out of time, so people really find out from your website. You're interested in this, want to get on into
Let's talk about it. The book is called The Crowdfunding Handbook. The Crowdfunding Handbook. You can pre-order it on Amazon now, believe it or not, although it's not going to come out until probably the late fall. And you can find out more about it at my other website, which is succeedinginyourbusiness.com. That's my nationally syndicated column. It's basically an Ann Landers for small business owners and entrepreneurs. They ask crazy questions, and either I answer them or I get somebody like you who really knows what he's talking about to answer them. That's basically what I do.
succeedinginyourbusiness.com.
That's it, Matt.
Cliff, thank you so much. Thanks for keeping us up to date and everybody, and expanding this opportunity, because that's what it is, for other people to take advantage of what the hell's going on in this country. Because the fat cats will do it, and now it's for the rest of us.
And now the rest of us. This is capital raising for the rest of us now, and I'm very excited about it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Cliff. Take care.
Always a pleasure, Matt. Thanks.